Coming up next on Awesome Toy Reviews, we take an in-depth look at the ViewMaster virtual reality headset.
Awesome Toy Reviews.
Virtual reality has become a hot topic in the world of emerging consumer technologies, and one of the first out of the gate with a low-cost working product is, believe it or not, ViewMaster. At the beginning of 2015, Mattel made an announcement that they were in cahoots with Google, and from the graphic, it seemed to involve the ViewMaster. By late summer, the plans were revealed, and in October of 2015, just in time for the Christmas rush, they released a new $30 plastic viewer that allows anyone with a smartphone to jump into the virtual reality craze. Now, ViewMaster as a brand has been stagnant in the past few decades. If you could even find it on the store shelves, the only reels you would find are those cutesy cartoon movie tie-ins that would only appeal to preschoolers. But in the 1970s and 80s, you could find a whole trunk load of titles that cashed in on the most popular movie and TV shows that would make any hipster envious. Prior to that, in the 50s and 60s, ViewMaster reigned supreme for its travel, destination, and science wonders of the world titles. But we'll explore more of that in another episode dedicated to the classic ViewMaster 3D reels and viewers. For today, the ViewMaster brand has given itself a 21st century shot in the arm by taking some of the strengths that it perfected in its 75 years of making 3D viewers and updated its delivery method of content and broadened the experience itself to make it more immersive than the passive 3D images of the past. So let's get things started by looking at the viewer and the mechanics of viewing content on it. Part of the appeal of the ViewMaster brand was the robust, super easy design. Stuff a round cardboard reel into the viewer and pull the trigger. The new virtual reality viewers haven't strayed too far from this concept. Stuff your fragile $800 smartphone into the slot and pull the trigger. Well, it's actually a little bit more complicated than that, but kids by far these days are more sophisticated, and they will most likely be teaching you if you need help. You need to manually hold the viewer to your head, just like the original ViewMaster viewers. Since this viewer is modeled after the Google Cardboard platform, this is to be expected with a low-cost viewer. But higher-end models, like the Samsung Gear VR and the Oculus Rift, have head straps to allow freedom of movement. Google Cardboard and ViewMaster actually don't recommend the use of head straps due to potential eye fatigue. It's still early days in the current virtual reality race that the Oculus Rift spearheaded a few years ago. While the high-end devices will have the screen technology installed in the headset, the low-end market is making use of smartphones for the display. ViewMaster markets their content on these $15 theme sets. The 3 included plastic reels inside are stylistically reminiscent of the old cardboard reels that you used to insert into the 3D reel viewers, but they actually serve very little function. The idea, though, is to allow you to select one of 3 content areas within the theme set. When you look at any one of these plastic reels, the illustration cues an augmented reality 3D model that is trackable when you move your head around. So how is this achieved? It actually uses your phone's camera, which looks through this tinted front surface to recognize and track the graphic on the reel. Once active, you can choose a section of the experience by clicking the trigger that in traditional viewers would have changed the reel to the next image. This is a pretty cool effect included into the experience, but it's actually not necessary to access the content. In fact, the whole package really comes down to this access pass that is included with every set. This is actually what you use to unlock the app that you have downloaded from the Apple App or Google Play Store. You can actually download the app and pay for it without actually buying the physical theme pack. But then you would miss out on the augmented reality feature. And if by chance you lose this access pass, you won't be able to unlock the app if you switch or upgrade your smart device. All of this packaging is really unnecessary for most of the experience. The passport is really just a proof of purchase to unlock the content of the app. You could just download and pay the same price to unlock the content in the App Store. The only thing you won't get by doing it this way is the augmented reality that the discs provide and the fancy packaging. One word of caution. If you're planning to let your kids run wild with this, it might be a good idea to store the access pass somewhere else, safe from being lost. Now, this whole concept, supposedly aimed at the adolescent market, makes a few assumptions. Number 1. You own a reasonably current smartphone. Check. Number 2, that you have enough available memory on the phone to download and store apps that can range from 200 megabytes to nearly a gig in size. I think so. Number 3, that if you bought this for your children to play with, they either have a smartphone of their own, or you, the parent, are willing to relinquish your expensive, multi-purpose, personal assistant, online pacifier to your child. No way, Jose. You can insert most smartphones into the viewer. There is a warning for the smaller sized iPhone 5 series devices, which is what I used when I first tested the viewer. An adapter is provided for a better fit. Due to the smaller screen size, the image doesn't quite fill the peripheral of your field of view, and with a density of 326 pixels per inch, you can clearly see the pixels on the screen when magnified by the optics, which can be distracting at times. I have also used an iPhone 6, which offers a larger screen area that fills the full field of view. Fits properly into the holder without the adapter, and despite the fact that it has the same pixels per inch as the iPhone 5, the pixels didn't seem as noticeable as they did on the smaller screen. The bleeding edge Samsung Galaxy S6 displays pack a whopping 577 pixels per inch. That's 250 more pixels per inch, and the end results are much more smooth. So let's see how this device works. After opening the downloaded app for the first time, it will most likely ask you which device you are using to view the content on. It directs you to scan the QR code that is located inside the device. Easy smeezy. Then, there is an alignment mark to center your screen in the viewer. With your phone in the correct position, it will allow the camera to look forward to the front of the viewer, and the phone speaker will line up with the sound grills on the right side of the viewer. I found that the audio was clear and performed well during each of these experiences. Now, if you wear glasses like I do, you will most likely not be able to use the viewer with your glasses, but I had no problem with sharpness with the 5 times magnification plastic lenses. The plastic lenses are fixed, so no focal or intraocular adjustments are possible, but just like the earlier ViewMaster viewers, this shouldn't be a problem for most people. The trigger works quite well. It's reminiscent of the traditional reel rotation trigger, but it doesn't have the same range of movement, which isn't necessary as it isn't performing the same function. What it is in fact doing is mimicking a finger touch at a predetermined spot on a screen with a rubber stylus tip to make the interactive selections possible. I found that quite a bit of head movement is required to look and interact with various selections and see the environment that is being presented to you. I highly recommend that you use this on your feet with a radius of at least 3 feet around you. You will need to look 360 degrees around you as well as up and down. But after 5 minutes of doing this, I actually became disoriented a few times and lost my balance, so having a clear area is important. Or you might just knock over a Ming vase or two. One thing that I found distracting was the amount of pixel dancing or jitter that is apparent when you are holding a stationary gaze. It would be nice to see if the programmers will fix this to smooth things out. I believe that kids will really enjoy the amount of movement necessary to look around at each environment and to interact with menu choices and pop-up windows. So far, ViewMaster has released 3 theme packs: Space, Destinations, and National Geographic Wildlife. I bought the first 2 sets, and here are my thoughts. In terms of how much content is provided in each set, there is a lot more material than was provided in the old 3D reels, but the new offering actually models itself after the old platform. In the old days, you'd buy a ViewMaster set that included 3 reels, each containing 7 3D images, plus a small description located in the window above the lenses. Now, you still get 3 reels, or areas of exploration, and each of these areas contain approximately 7 stops to visit within each topic. Each of these stops also contain pop-up windows that provide facts and explanation about what you're looking at. Now, even though ViewMaster tried to implement audio with their talking reels back in the 1970s, it wasn't a successful experiment. But now, thanks to smartphone technology, you also get the additional element of sound, which adds to the experience. There is a continuous underlying layer of tonal music. Certain sequences may contain a soundtrack, plus the button pushes and other interactive effects are punctuated as well. While the old 3D reels would maybe give you 2 minutes of enjoyment, you can easily spend 60 minutes or more exploring the 3 reels provided per set. So now that you have this $30 viewer, the other thing you can do is download the Google Cardboard app, which is free and only about 90 megabytes in size. This will open up the access to content, especially since there are only 3 official releases from Viewmaster so far. One of the choices to explore is a Kaleidoscope experience that changes as you look and move your head around. This is actually in true 3D stereo and worth a few minutes of fun for the wow factor. When you click the trigger, it will freeze the motion and allow you to look at all the geometric shapes. Urban Hike basically takes you to famous destinations like the Eiffel Tower. The head tracking is very nice, but all you are really looking at is a Google Street Level image. Speaking of Google Street Level, you can actually download the app and view various attractions around the world with the Viewmaster viewer. Exhibit displays a series of indigenous masks. These are very nice 3D models that I believe were scanned from actual masks in a collection. The images are quite sharp, and the pixel dance is significantly reduced. You can rotate completely around each mask in 3D. Explorer takes you on a museum to see an exhibit of dinosaur skeletons at the American Museum of Natural History. The next image is at the Frontiers of Flight Aviation Museum in Dallas. You also get to experience the Space Shuttle Endeavour, which is being refurbished in a hangar, a 360-degree view of Mars from the Spirit rover, a hot spring geyser in Iceland, and a cave in Puerto Rico. So far in my exploration for compelling content, I'm disappointed that there is very little actual 3D VR available. YouTube is not really the place to be searching, as much of the content is not designed to be viewed this way, and much of the stereo 3D content is anamorphically squeezed and certainly not optimized for viewing with a VR viewer of this type. The lens magnification alone will make the experience uncomfortable. Regardless of what content you choose to view in a device like this, keep in mind that it has to be optimized for 2 eyes, 1, 2. Whether or not it is actually in stereo 3D. 360-degree YouTube videos may seem like they are match-made for VR, but they are not and won't work in a viewer of this type. Downloading the app Video will ease your search for VR content. One highlight I found was actually a sequence from the Broadway production of The Lion King. While it certainly displays a great use for immersive technology, it still fell flat in my opinion for not being in 3D. Maybe my concerns are a little premature, as it's still early days for the creation of immersive content, and while 360-degree cameras are starting to become readily available to content creators, 3D capture adds a whole other level of complexity. 3D VR equipment like the GoPro Odyssey has recently come onto the market, which should in short order begin to deliver 3D VR experiences for consumption. Based on what I've seen so far, with the first 3 official releases, the content seems rushed to market. Most of the 360-degree environments are 2-dimensional and not 3D. Many of the pop-up windows have poor typesetting errors, with a number of words fused together due to a missing space between the words. One info window I saw even had placeholder text. Error checking was not a high priority before the company rushed this to market. The integrated technology, packaging, and build quality, however, get high marks in my opinion. As with most fringe products that break onto the consumer market, the problem is not with the technology, but with the lack of content to keep people engaged with the technology. If it weren't for the ability to access Google Cardboard or content from other app developers, I would find this to be a little underwhelming so far. But the fact remains that a $30 investment allows you to jump into the burgeoning virtual reality ecosystem and provides a more robust experience than the cardboard viewers that Google pioneered. It was recently reported that Apple now carries a Viewmaster in its online store. That's a pretty good endorsement, especially when it's widely speculated that they will be bringing out a VR product of their own sometime in the future. And now, 5 months after its release, Viewmaster has announced version 2, which will be released in the fall, 1 year after the original launch. The new version improvements include an earphone jack, a redesigned latch, and focal adjustment. It's hard to believe that the Viewmaster brand is relevant again. Certainly, it won't recapture the success that the classic 3D viewer did over the past 80 years. But for the emerging VR market, ViewMaster left the gate early and has become a significant contender in the entry-level market.